The witch hunt continues. Here's my father's response. Can you imagine? Okay, couple of things right off the bat. He moved his Don Jr. logo over to this side of the screen. I guess that shows that he's at Kimberly's house, right? Now, what's today's date? It's a Thursday in May. It's one of the last Thursdays. There's one more Thursday left in the month. In May. Is that a Christmas tree right there, or a pile of shoes? Secondly, I guess this is my guess. This is Kimberly's house, and or they're at an Airbnb. But he's got his earbuds in now. I've got these little guys in right now. I also have a pair of my AirPods, which I'm a big fan. The Pros, they stick in there. They're good for working out. They don't fall out like the other ones. And I wear them when I'm doing things that require me hearing things from my device, be it my phone or whatever. None of us know what the fuck he's doing wearing these while he's doing his phone camera videos. Because he's not using the mic on there to make it better. What is he... Does he just do this between drug deals? What is happening?
Hey guys, this is going to be a rumble.
Hey guys, so good. Okay, what I'm doing today, guys. I'm just going to read what my dad said, guys. Because that's what I do now. I'm basically my father's TikTok, guys.
Rumble exclusive. You're going to want to watch it.
A Rumble exclusive. Oh, dear God.
You're going to want to share it with your friends.
Yeah, share this. I keep forgetting to say share this. By the way, like and subscribe. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're on Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. Helps the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. And, of course, share the clips that CSL's been making from the show so that we can spread it far and wide. And thanks to Crooks and Liars for finally posting one of my videos. Oh, my God. They the Newsmax typos video, they made it to the to the top of their page. That was so sweet of them. So thank you, Crooks and Liars. Give them some love. That I tweeted that out, and they tweeted out, and I retweeted it. So share that around and stuff, guys. Don't forget to share this with your friends. This is a Dumbo exclusive.
I can only do this here, frankly, because
I can't do this because yes, you can. He can do it on Instagram. He can do it on his Facebook page. What are you going to do? If he shows his dick, I'm cutting away.
I think if I did this on other platforms, I could get thrown off of those platforms like they did to the 45th president of the United States, my father.
Oh, wait. That's your real dad? You've confirmed this? I'm just saying, I don't, was it a question before? Because I think it might be. Later.
Those platforms that seem to do what they can in many cases to suppress his voice amongst so many other conservatives.
Really? Candace Owens still has a Twitter account? That's weird.
If you're here, you probably understand that better.
Jordan Peterson's still on Twitter. That's kind of strange. But I think Ben Shapiro even has a Twitter account, doesn't he? That's weird. Yeah. It's funny how those people manage to stay on. Yeah. But your dad gets kicked off with Sidney Powell and Mike Lindell and all those maniacs. I wonder what could be the corresponding feature that's getting their asses kicked to the curb. What could it be?
Than most. So I wanted to read to you a statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America.
Oh, good God.
So that you can see it, so that you can share it. Because again, I don't think there's a really good chance that you won't see this on other platforms. It'll either...
You know where you can see it? At his own fucking site. It's posted. I'm sorry, son, if I may. Do you mind if nobody else needs to do this. Nobody needs to go through this hell. But let's see. I need to make sure I'm on the right keyboard. DonaldJTrump.com. Grown man. There you go. So if you go to this website, we can't allow our country to be destroyed. And he's pointing at the Y. I don't know what that's about. Y. MCA. All right. He's pointing at the Y. I'm sure. Can someone from Q please explain why he's pointing at the Y? It's the same reason he played YMCA. If you add those numbers together, they end up with the birth date of JFK Jr. and, of course, the call sign letters of his plane. All right, never mind. Anyway, so together we are rebuilding our nation. You're not president anymore. Help fulfill our promise to make America great again. Join our movement. Let me guess, by donating. Get involved. All right, the desk. Here it is. So this is the... No, I'm not signing up for alerts. Why would I do that when I've got Donald Trump Jr. reading them to me? See 35 wayward Republicans. They just can't help themselves. We have much better policy and much better for the country, but the Democrats stick together. He's a microblogger. This is him microblogging in a book, apparently. He microblogs. I don't know what the fuck. He looks like is he sketching in a Bible? What the fuck is that? Please tell me there's a mug with that picture on it so we can get a good look. We already shopped once before. Please tell me there's a button with this on it, like, I'm writing over all the parts in the Bible I don't like all that, like, help the poor, turn the other cheek bullshit. Weak. That's the problem with saviors before, is they've been too weak. So just clarifying that you can read it yourself. Now, granted, I suppose I have to give it to Don Jr. I do have to, maybe I was wrong, because he's not talking to us. He's talking to Trump's audience, and it's entirely possible they can't read. So they need Don Jr. to be the audiobook version from the desk of Donald J. Trump, which is basically what he's doing on Rumble now, like a good boy.
It'll be suppressed. It'll be hidden.
It'll be available with one click. And it even has a link at the top so that people can contribute and give me money and pay for our bills. It's probably just going to sit there. No one's going to read it.
It'll be at the end of a long list of searches that have almost nothing to do with this sort of stuff. But again, if you're here, you probably recognize what's going on elsewhere.
If you're there and you're watching this, you know that he has the same website address he's had for 15 years. And that's where this message is coming from.
And have come to that understanding. So this is a little bit of a Rumble exclusive. And this is about the attorney.
Oh, it's so exclusive. It's a Rumble exclusive. What are you doing now, Don? Now that your dad's running the company again and you're no longer in charge of anything, I'm doing largely Rumble exclusives. Rumble exclusives. Do you think he has any idea how awful that sounds? How pathetic? Rumble exclusives. Oh God, he's all in on this shit.
Attorney General nonsense in New York that they're now investigating the Trump organization criminally. In this 5-year plus never-ending witch hunt.
For the record, as witch hunts go, this one's 10 years in the running. It's just, they just now have access to Weisselberg in a way they didn't have before.
Statement from my father, the 45th president of the United States.
Who's he? Sorry, I'm sorry. You mentioned it before, but I was miles away. And who's your dad? What did he do? What did he used to do? What does he do now? Oh, the microblogger dude, right?
Hang on, it's a good one.
Okay, I'm hanging.
I have just learned through leaks in the mainstream media that after being under investigation from the time I came down the escalator 5.5 years ago, including...
I'm sorry. This is a grown man reading a press release from his dad and calling it a Rumble. I mean, this makes me ache with how pathetic it is. Oh, good.
The fake Russia hoax, the 2-year, $48 million no collusion Mueller witch hunt, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and others, that the Democrat New York Attorney General has informed my organization that their investigation
Why is informed in quotes? You were informed. They told you.
is no longer just a civil matter, but also potentially a criminal investigation, working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. There's nothing more corrupt than an investigation that is in desperate search of a crime. But make no mistake, that is exactly what is happening here.
Well, obviously their desperation isn't too grand because they've found one.
The Attorney General of New York literally campaigned on prosecuting Donald Trump even before she knew anything about me.
No, she knew quite a bit about him. I mean, she didn't come from the outside. They're all aware of the criminal activities. And this is just this is the tip of the iceberg. Like fucking criminal tax stuff. That's how they're going to flip Allen Weisselberg to tell them about all the fucking mob ties. That's how this shit happens. Tell you what, Rudy's in your Rolodex. Give him a call.
She said that if elected, she would use her office to look into every aspect of my real estate dealings.
Well, obviously not every aspect, just the criminal ones. Oh, that is every aspect. That's a point. Good point.
She swore that she would definitely sue me. She boasted on...
Look at these phrases pulled out of context. Why wouldn't you say definitely sue Trump or... Okay, never mind. I mean, this is all... He's half quoting.
Video that she would be, and I quote, a...
Wait a minute. Were you air quoting the rest of the time? So we missed that?
Real pain in the ass. She declared, just wait until I'm in...
Oh my God, he was air quoting on the first page and we missed it?
The Attorney General's office, and I've got my eyes on Trump Tower. She's also promised that...
I've got my eyes on 666 Fifth Avenue. Don't forget, guys, if you want to super chat, $6.66 is a good starting point. All I need is 1 billion super chats like that, and I can buy 666 Fifth Avenue. That's my goal, and I'm sticking to it. Well, I'm going to do a subathon at one point, hooked up to a Kickstarter, attached to my Patreon, and mega super chatted, and stay on for like 3 days and try to raise enough money worldwide. Hire a PR team that speaks 10 different languages and just do a worldwide streaming event where I try to raise enough money to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. Oh. And then in the bottom of it, I'm gonna put a Whole Foods that donates all their overages to homeless shelters, and a gun store that only sells smart guns because apparently this freaks out the right, and yeah, something else like and a LGBT center that can operate for free out of there, and then it's just gonna be sweet. I'll live in the top, of course, like Howard Hughes, growing my fingernails and peeing in mason jars, but every other part of the tower will be put. Oh, thank you, Dazzler Foo. There's the first 666. Thank you.
If elected, she would join with law enforcement and other attorney generals across the nation in removing this president from office.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she feels let down that she can't do it herself.
And that it's important that everyone understand that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end.
And worked out that way, kind of, yeah.
The Attorney General made these statements not after having had...
Yeah, I will have... Yeah, there will be a Planned Parenthood in there. Yeah. And like, yeah, I don't know if he said woke yet. We'll get there.
An opportunity to look at the facts, but before she was even elected...
Fucking hell, what? Who is watching 8 minutes of Don Jr. reading his fucking dad's stationery? Can we back up just for a second? No, this is just the same whiny blather he always puts out. But look what this asshole is doing for, like, what this is. What is this show? What's the, let's break it down at its root. Don Jr. is alleging a Rumble exclusive as he reads this piece of shit, rambling, repetitive statement, like, that sounds like something Dershowitz told Trump to write. And that's it. That's the show. 4,289 rumbles. He makes money doing it.
Before she had even seen a shred of evidence.
That's not true.
This is something that happens in failed third world countries, not the United States.
No. There are a lot of people who run on the idea that crime is rampant. People are getting away with crime. There's drug dealers. We know that this gang, for example, is running, half of the South Side. So we need to, people run on as chief of police, as the DA. I will be tough on crime. That's what she was running on. She's a tough on crime candidate. But you just happen to be on the receiving end of the crime part, and you're reacting as criminals do.
If you can run for a prosecutor's office pledging to take out your enemies and...
Well, it wasn't her enemies. She didn't vie for a real estate deal that you had, and you sniped it from her. She was going to buy a set of condos in the Upper East Side in the Trump organization. That's not her enemy. Her enemy as a DA would be organized crime.
And be elected to that job by partisan voters who wish to enact political retribution, then we are no longer a free constitutional democracy.
Sure we are. You have, even with that, even if she ran on that and voters put her in, if there's no evidence, she won't be able to convict you. She'll lose if she doesn't find anything. If there's nothing to find, if you're innocent, then this was all for naught.
Likewise, the district attorney's office has been going after me for years.
How did Barr have a say in this protection? Yes, he did.
Based on a lie,
he swapped out people in that position as best he could.
And discredited lowlife, who has not listened or given any credibility by other prosecutorial offices and was sentenced.
It's a tough sentence to read. It's hard. Yeah. So, I mean, feel free, Don, if you need to back up, edit, and do this again. You're welcome to.
To 3 years in prison for lying and other events unrelated to me.
Now, there are thoughts rolling around in his head right now about shit that he was privy to, and, things that Michael Cohen saw, things that he said to Michael Cohen, things that Trump said to Michael Cohen, things that Michael Cohen said back to both of them, things that Alan Weisselberg said to all three of them in the same room. And that's what's rolling through his head right now as he's trying to pretend like this is nothing.
These investigations have also been going on for years, with members and associates of the Trump organization being viciously attacked, harassed, and threatened. I actually know from experience, folks. I've been one of them.
I'm sorry, were you attacked and harassed? How were you attacked and harassed? I mean, on a scale of stole millions from a charity, and therefore the people who would be on the receiving end of that charity and those funds and would need it to, I don't know, survive their cancer treatments or not lose their house, for example. On the scale of, that's harassment in a certain realm. On that scale, where would you put yourself?
In order to say anything bad about the 45th president of the United States. This would include having to make up false stories.
Jesus, this is rambling.
Numerous documents, all prepared by large and prestigious law and accounting firms, have been...
This would include having to make up false stories. Numerous documents, all prepared by large and prestigious law and accounting firms, have been examined, and many hours
examined. And many hours of testimony have been taken from many people, some of whom I haven't seen in years.
Think about that. I mean, this would include having to make up false stories. That's him just bitching about it. Look at this sentence. Numerous documents, all prepared by large and prestigious law and accounting firms. These are big, good companies that are very expensive, have been examined, and many hours of testimony have been taken from many people, some of whom I've not seen in years. So he's like, they're the best, and I don't talk to them anymore.
These Democrat offices are consumed with this political and partisan witch hunt at a time when crime is up big in New York City.
Yeah, that's not her purview. She's she's handling the top level stuff. And then you have DAs below her who would handle shooters and robberies and rapes and that kind of stuff. And that's a different class of criminal. But they can walk and chew gum at the same time. You have to in New York. I mean, because there's multiple levels of crime. Oh, thank you, Francie. That multiple levels of crime.
Shootings are up 97%. Murders
from when no one went outside
are up 45%.
Shit, I thought New Yorkers were better shots than that.
A rate not seen in 40 years.
Well, yeah, the rise has not been seen in 40 years. But what about the number to number, year to date kind of stuff versus, you know, pandemic lockdown, nobody's going out, therefore fewer victims on the street, therefore fewer shootings. We'll get to that.
Drugs and criminals are pouring into our country at a record number from our now unprotected southern border.
So the wall was just shit, is what you're saying. So you built almost 500 miles of wall, according to you. 15. But apparently it's useless. Apparently the wall stops working when Gandalf isn't standing there.
And people are fleeing New York for other, much safer locations to live. But
now the Republicans are moving to Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. And New Yorkers are saying good riddance to bad rubbish.
The district attorney and the attorney general
aren't concerned with real estate trends?
Possessed at an unprecedented level.
Yeah, you know what? Back up. Try that sentence again.
With destroying their political...
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's hard to read. The sentences, they run on. They're choppy. They kind of lose the track in the middle, and then they jump to a gripe. It's hard. I mean, I don't know why you're not reading this with a red pen in your hand. Thank you, Jill Carter.
Fortunes of...
Is that a bag of dildos behind him? Over there? I think it's a blanket over the couch. That's a stack of dildos right here. That's what that is. Just all
Donald J. Trump and almost 75 million people who voted for him. By far the largest number ever received by a sitting president.
And it's weird that an incumbent usually does very well. And it's kind of crazy that you lost the popular vote by double what you lost the popular vote the last time.
This is what these investigations are all about. A continuation of the greatest political witch hunt in the history of the United States.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, obviously it's a criminal investigation. You can call it the greatest witch hunt because you're the defendant in this circumstance.
Working in conjunction with Washington, these Democrats want to silence and cancel millions of voters because they don't want Trump to run again. And I think that's an important point, folks.
Yeah, guys, keep giving that money, guys.
Because that's what this is really all about.
It's really all about. We need you to keep giving us campaign funds to our super PAC that does not have to spend it on a campaign or any candidate. We can just do whatever we want with that money. Keep that money rolling in from the page I'm reading this from. You got to go sign up, and don't forget to hit that contribute link, because unlike when he was running for office and actually had an active campaign going, all this button is magic. This just falls down a hole. There is no FEC rules at all on this. Just goodbye. Goodbye, money.
About at this point. You don't drag something out without even actually doing anything for 5 years unless you have an end game, and that's likely it.
Well, sorry, but there are murderers that have been in and out of courtrooms with like holdings and bond hearings and then trial dates and then retrial dates for, you know, a decade. And your dad is golfing.
But he continues as people.
Yeah. Don't digress too much, because if you manage to squeak out a sentence that makes sense, we'll know it's not from the paper.
People are being killed on the sidewalks of New York at an unprecedented rate as drugs and crime of all kinds are flowing through New York City at record
Jesus, is it just the same sentence again?
Levels, with absolutely nothing being done about it. All they care about is taking down Trump.
You do realize it's not that big a deal to take down Trump. It's just sort of political will and some accountants. He does realize that they're not, hey Jenkins, yeah, put down that nightstick in the AR-15. Come on in the station for a second. Yeah. So, you're good with numbers, right? Yeah, you know, I was an accountant before I joined the force. Good. We're going to put you on a special task force. You can report to special. Go to this address, knock 3 times. You're going to be a part of a secret DA task force. But I should be out on the street stopping shooters, rapists, drug dealers. That's what I came to. No, that's not what. We need guys like you with accounting degrees.
Movement which started with the great election win in 2016 is perhaps the biggest and most powerful in the history of our country.
Yeah, it's a big, powerful movement.
But the Democrats want to cancel the Make America Great Again movement. Not
well, I thought that was Liz Cheney that was trying to do that.
by making
Thanks for hosting the stream, Steph.
America first.
Yeah, anybody who's on Twitch can host my show on their channel and kind of ping it around. By the way, I think it gives some kind of a boost. I should know more about this than I do.
But making America last.
Because that's the choices. The world is a black and white binary freak fest.
No president has been treated the way I have.
Boo-hoo!
With all of the crime and corruption you read about and others, nothing happens. Only
All the crime you read about and others? Dude, he can't... I gotta find this. Yeah, okay, so this is the big one. Let's see. Christ, look at this. Political witch hunt watching Trump run again as people are being killed in the sidewalks in New York. So yeah, he repeats this thing twice. Let's see. The Democrats want to cancel America, make it last. No president treated the way I have. With all the crime and corruption you read about with others, nothing happens. They only go after Donald Trump. Yeah, nobody gets arrested. Rudy is. I mean... So Rudy's a nobody? Is that what you're saying? Is that what we're hearing?
They only go after Donald Trump. After prosecutorial efforts, the likes of which no one has ever seen before, they failed.
No one has ever seen before?
To stop me in Washington. So they turned over to New York to do their dirty work. This is what I've been going through for years. It's a very sad and very dangerous tale for our country, but it is what it is, and we will overcome together.
We shall overcome. Did Lee Greenwood do a version of this? Because that version sounds, I don't know, too inner city for me. I'm just saying.
I have built a great company, employed thousands of people, and...
Thousand of people? Please tell me he's reading the actual typos.
All I do is get unfairly attacked and abused by a corrupt political system. It would be so wonderful if the effort used against President Donald J. Trump, who lowered taxes and regulations, rebuilt our military, took care of our veterans, created...
Don't go there. Sister. Why is he getting waddle neck?
Space Force, fixed our borders, produced our vaccine in record-setting time and years ahead of what was anticipated, and made our country great and respected again,
and fondled a Saudi glowing orb and sucked up to Kim Jong-un and let Russia get away with everything and anything they wanted to, and
so much more would be the focus ever more on the dangerous sidewalks of New York. If these prosecutors...
Yeah, I would go, ugh, after reading that sentence too. What the fuck was that? Hold on. Where? But I built a great company, employed thousands of people. Said it would be wonderful if the effort used against President Donald J. Trump, who lowered tax regulation, built a year's of what is anticipated, made our country great and respected again, and so much more, would be focused on the ever more dangerous sidewalks and streets of New York. The ever more dangerous sidewalks and streets of New York. Well, there are more people on them. I suppose pedestrians are always more in danger when there's actually cars going places and the country started back up again.
Found focused on any real issues, crime would be obliterated and New York would be great and free again. But guys, that's not what they're doing.
No, guys.
100% right.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that because he's my dad, and the only way he lets me keep my salary with the Trump organization is if I read his press conferences as Rumble his press releases as Rumble exclusives.
Pass on the word. Again, I'm doing this here because I think anywhere else if I did that, there's a chance they'd use it as an excuse to throw me off those platforms.
Yeah, if I put this on my Twitter, if I read it out loud, they would totally, they might, I don't know what they would use.
Our voices to be heard. We need that message to be shared. We need people to be loud and vocal and not be afraid to be canceled. Because if we're all in this together,
yeah, you hear me, Liz?
Guys, they
tell them, Liz Cheney,
don't stand a chance. But we all need to be in it together.
I feel like we learned a lot. Oh my God! And then he follows it up. This is the job. Again, what is happening? Why are you wearing earbuds when you're talking on your own to your phone?
Guys, this is going to be hard to believe, and I hate to...
Guys, I can't believe it. Why are you turning into Vinny Barbarino? Mr. Kate, guys.
Admit it, but CNN just got something right. Just recently on CNN, Abby Phillips basically admitted that the Joe Biden presidency is a total disaster.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's had... We're like 3 years in and none of the policies worked out.
Now, anyone who's been watching and anyone with half a brain realizes what's happened.
So your dad is watching is what you're saying.
In the last 3 months or so is a mess for America. And more importantly, it's a mess for the entire world because America's power structure is being diminished on a daily basis. Check out this clip. You're going to want to see it. And I'll give you my commentary on the back end.
Guys, I'm going to tell you what's going on after this. Whatever, you're going to want to hear my special Rumble exclusive take on what this clip says as I'm standing out in the bushes outside. Because whenever I get gacked up, I get gas, and Kimberly makes me stand outside near the palm trees.
I mean, at the same time that all this is happening, domestically here in the United States, you have these really, I think...
Biden dealing with multiple crises at home and abroad. Okay. He's dealing with them. She'll probably say he's the cause of them, though. Let me give her a moment.
Searing visuals, if you're of a certain age, particularly, brings you back to, I mean, I think Republicans would love to bring people back to the Carter years, but these gas lines, it's a psychological problem. Maybe it's temporary, but for the...
Yeah, you know, just because it's temporary, please let's turn this roundtable discussion into, it's a temporary problem that's not actually grounded in the reality that happened in the 70s. But since one thing looks like another, you know, like, let me give you an example. One guy goes and knocks on the door of a sorority building, and he's passing out flyers for people to join the Democratic Party. And then another guy comes to the door, and he's a fundraiser for the Republican Party. And he happens to be Ted Bundy. Now, is there really a difference between those two guys when they're on the stoop? And if you see them standing there, I mean, a lot of people are just going to read into it.
For the American public, there's something psychological about hearing about inflation and seeing gas lines and literally going to the pump in certain southern states and not being able to get gas.
Okay, so just...
Yeah, so you didn't let them finish the conversation. They're just talking about the impact isn't based on the reality, and the rest of the panel, I'm sure, is going, yeah, but obviously the Carter administration was hit with the formation of OPEC and their control of gas prices, and we didn't have anywhere near the production capability we have now. So we couldn't become energy independent back then if we had wanted to. And of course, the Reagan campaign and his running buddy, George Bush, who used to be the head of the CIA and ambassador to China, behind the scenes was negotiating to give arms to Iran in exchange for the hostages as long as they kept them until Carter was out of office. And then we find that out, and then they shuffled the money around through drugs and weapons and all that kind of stuff. But basically, a hacked pipeline that's down temporarily is the same fucking thing.
See that? I mean, she's basically saying it. Now, the part where she's wrong, and of course it's CNN, so they got to still be wrong the vast majority of the time, is that she said that Republicans would love to see a Jimmy Carter era, essentially.
Yeah, because they would love to run against that, because in their minds, which, by the way, they don't. Because in modern times, the perception of the country and the value of activity, Carter would be way harder to run against now than he would have been back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Wait, no, they wouldn't, Abby. Like, we've been fighting against those sort of ridiculous left-wing policies that...
Excuse me, high as a kite. She means for you to run against. She doesn't mean you'd vote for Carter now. I know you're dumb. I know you've been told to stand outside when you fart. I know you're wearing an exercise shirt from a place you don't go to anymore. And I know you're wearing headphones even though you're not using them.
Created a disastrous time under Jimmy Carter, okay? Donald Trump created American energy independence. Now we have gas lines and
Yeah, no, we don't.
shortages and fuel prices skyrocketing through the roof, okay? Donald Trump created 4 peace deals in the Middle East.
And yet, none of them affected the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's amazing. Don't you have to have a war before you have a peace deal? I mean, I suppose you don't. If you know that a war is about to start and you head it off, that would be technically a peace deal. Like you know that there's like, let's say you at least have to have violent aggression. Yeah. And yes, you're right, Chairwit. His eyes are glazed like he's using donuts for contacts. Thank you, the artist formerly known as Craig.
Within a few short months, Israel and Hamas are sending thousands of rockets at each other. Within a few short months. Same kind of disaster that you had from the Jimmy Carter. Housing prices and skyrocketing.
From the Jimmy Carter.
Inflation. Look at what's going on with
yeah, housing prices going up. Always a bad sign.
lumber and those kind of commodities and food pricing. Remember stagflation from the Jimmy Carter era? No. Republicans don't want that. We've been fighting the lunacy on the left that is pushing the policies that create inflation. Okay, Joe Biden, I don't want a deficit spend. Really? You're spending trillions of dollars to have people
not work because we're coming out of a pandemic your dad ignored. Weren't there supposed to be 14 cases and they were going to go to 0?
sit on their couch and not go back to work.
Well, Americans are inherently lazy, and if you're going to shit talk them like that, then I'm sorry you can't stay on my show for more than 3 more minutes.
The media will let them get away with anything, but even CNN seems to acknowledge how big a disaster it is. But
no, I think they're actually starting a conversation based on public perception about some of these challenges, like roundtables often do. I'm surprised this isn't just a video of you masturbating to Chuck Todd, honestly.
Republicans have been fighting against these moronic policies.
Guys, Chuck Todd said something that totally backs me up, even though it doesn't.
Republicans have been pushing back. Republicans love America first. Now, the difference between...
Well, apparently not. Your dad thinks they're all weaklings, and they have been for a long time, and until he came along, they were doing nothing but selling the country down the river.
Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter, we can all probably say Jimmy Carter's a decent man. He just had no business being in that position. He's a good guy.
And he's the exact opposite of your dad, who's an indecent man and had no business being in that office.
He was way in over his head. Joe Biden's also in over his head, and I don't believe he even knows what the hell's going on. The difference is that Jimmy Carter's team wasn't a bunch of radical leftists. They just didn't know what they were doing. Joe Biden's team is. Joe Biden's puppet masters.
Guys, how am I supposed to read all these notes I made for myself?
Are doing what they can to destroy America. They're not dumb, but they hate our country. They hate America first. They want to do whatever they can to destroy that. And they know they have a puppet in Joe who will sign whatever they put in there. So Joe Biden isn't...
Yeah, signing that, he signed that COVID-19 hate crime bill, that was aimed at protecting Asian Americans, which passed the Senate, was it 96-1? And had decent crossover support even in the House. He signed that today. Is that what you're talking about? It's because all the AAPI women that were around him and the Tammy Duckworth sitting there in her wheelchair. Is that what's freaking you out?
Jimmy Carter 2.0. He's much worse because while he doesn't know what's going on, the people who are his controllers, the people who are his puppet masters, know that he'll sign anything that they'll put in front of him.
Am I the only one that struck that this sounds like when they found a 9-year-old who talks on politics on a show and they just let him roll?
And they're taking full advantage of it to the detriment of America and...
That's right. They're passing all these things that aren't actually being passed, and they're presenting all these things that are, once Joe Biden gets hold of them, he pairs out some of the more extreme things and makes the incredibly bipartisan aspects of them very popular across the entire country. I can understand how it makes you shit the bed.
American hegemony.